Are we live? Oh, hi everybody. This is Tamara from Moogly, and welcome back to our first YouTube Live in a little while. It's been a little bit since I've been able to do one, but I'm getting back on my feet, recovering well, and we're ready to do another one today. So if you go to the link in the description, you'll get the Facebook Live that I did this morning. Well, just a little bit ago, as well as all the links to the current things happening on Moogly, the current giveaways. We've got a great worldwide giveaway going on as well. And of course, to the next Michael's Community Classroom class I'm going to teach, which happens to be this evening, August 9th. So that's the current events. Now let's get to that forever content here. Today we're talking about standing post stitches. And I've done a lot of different videos here on my YouTube channel with standing stitches. We've got standing single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and of course you can extend it from there. It's just another yarn over the taller the stitch gets, right? Just like any other stitch. However, I haven't shown before, I don't think, how to do it into post stitches. So for this would be when the first stitch that you want to join to, whether it's the first stitch of the row, or it's some pattern that has you join in the middle of the row, or maybe you're just changing colors or changing skeins, and you don't want to do the yarn over and pull through to finish one stitch to change colors. You want to start clean with a new color and a standing stitch. You can, of course, do those as post stitches just as easily as you can do them as standard stitches. So that's what I want to demonstrate for you today. So let's go ahead and bring the overhead camera over, and we'll switch over to the hand view here. Alrighty, there we are. Now I've got an old swatch right here. You can see I've been playing around with it. I demonstrated one stitch pattern on it. I tried out my safety eyes with it. I've got fringe over here, but today it's just a swatch for us to be working into. So it doesn't matter what you're working into here. This is just a swatch that I had laying around, and it seemed like a good sort of background for our stitches today. So what we've got here is we've got a row with some double crochets and some post stitches and some other double crochets. And when you work a standard stitch, as I'm sure you probably know, you usually go under the top two loops of the stitch, right? Right under there. Once in a while, you might get told to use back loop only, which would be just the back one, or front loop only, which is just the front one. But then you've got post stitches. And in post stitches, rather than going under those top two loops, you go around the post itself. So you've got front post stitches, where you come from the front of your work around that post and pull the yarn back behind that post to make your stitch. And then you've got back post stitches, where you come from behind, back of your work, send your hook through, and pull the yarn through that way. Then, of course, we can do those as standing stitches. So let me pull in a contrasting color of yarn right here. Today I'm using Bernat Blanket and an 8mm Susan Bates crochet hook. You can see right there. Just need to find my end. There we go. And let's go ahead and start. Let's start with a standing double crochet, a standing front post double crochet. Some of the most common combinations there you could do. We're going to go ahead and start it just like any other standing stitch. I want to take the end of my yarn and hold on to it with my non-hook hand right here. Then, or I should say with my non-hook fingers of my hook hand. There we are. Then I'm going to take my hook and yarn over twice because it's a double crochet. Then, if it was a regular standing stitch, I would just go ahead and insert my hook right under those top two loops. But let's do this one as a front post stitch. I've already got a series of post stitches going here, so I could go into there, or I could do it around any stitch. But basically, we just go in as we would for a front post stitch, slide our hook right under that post, yarn over, pull that loop up and through, give it a little wiggle, pull that yarn up there if you need to. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through two. Notice I still haven't let go of that tail. It's still held in those non-hook fingers there. And finally I yarn over again, and I'm going to pull through that loop and just behind that little tail right there. And now, if I want to, I can put a stitch marker in there under that loop in front and that tail. Those would be the two loops when we go to work back into that stitch. So that was a front post standing double crochet. Let's do it again. I'm going to pull that right back out. Got my end of my yarn here in my fingers. I'm going to yarn over twice. Now let's do a standing back post double crochet. We come from behind our work, go around our post, come out on the back of our work, yarn over, pull that loop through, Again, particularly with the back post stitches, I feel you need to give that a little bit of a tug, but I've still got that tail end held onto in my hand there. We yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through that 1, and behind that tail. Same thing. So now that's a standing back post double crochet. Let's shrink it down. Let's do a standing half double crochet as a front post stitch. Same thing. I've got the end of my yarn here in those fingers. I'm going to yarn over twice again because it's a half double crochet. We want to have, basically we're creating the active loop, what would normally be the active loop on our hook, plus the yarn over. For a front post, again, let's pick a different stitch. Let's not use a post stitch. We'll go around a regular stitch here, regular double crochet. We're going to go in on one side and pop up on the other because it's a front post stitch. Yarn over, pull that yarn right behind the post. And now, rather than yarning over and pulling through 2 and then 2, we're going to yarn over and just pull through both of those loops, and a little trickier, it's easier to use your fingers sometimes, behind that tail end as well. And then, of course, you can continue to half double crochet, do whatever other stitches the pattern calls for right there. But that is your front post half double crochet. If we pull that back out, you can hold on to that tail again, yarn over twice, and now we'll do it as a back post double crochet. Let's come to one of these over here. I've got my 2 yarn overs on my hook, and I'm holding onto my tail end here. I'm just going to come from behind, go right around that post, yarn over, pull that loop right on through our fabric till it comes out the top, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops essentially. Again, with this one, that last one, really just kind of have to use your fingers to pull it the rest of the way over. And then, oops, you've got that loop right there and this loop that you would put your stitch marker under to mark the top of that stitch. Now we can shrink it down one more time for a standing single crochet as post stitches. Again, same thing. We hold on to that tail end. And now for the standing single crochet, I really prefer, some people do it with yarn overs, but I really prefer to put a little bit of a loop on my hook. I don't know if you guys can see here how I'm doing that. I'm just flipping the yarn itself over to create a loop, and then I drop that on my hook. I find this is a lot easier to work with. It just creates a lot more stability. If you don't like that, you can also make a little slip knot and put that on your hook. Like so. Either way totally works. But we've got the yarn held on our hook for this one. I still like to hold onto that tail end just for a little extra stability as I go in there. And now we'll go ahead and let's go back to our post stitches and do a front post single crochet. I've got 1 loop on my hook. I go behind that post just as we did for any other front post stitches. Pull up that loop. This one you really kind of have to give it a little zhuzh to get those loops the same size right there. And then you just yarn over and pull right on through both of those 2 loops. And that is your standing front post single crochet. Let me pull that one back out. And let's do it this time without the slip knot. We're just going to come in, hold on to that tail, and just flip it over. And drop that loop right on top of your hook. So you can see this right here in front is the tail end that goes into my hand. So now I need to hold on to it a little bit more because I don't have that slip knot there. So I want to give it a real good grip with these fingers. And now we'll do it as a back post. We're just going to come from behind around that post, get our hook back out there, yarn over, pull that loop through. With back post stitches, that can be one of the trickier ones, I think. When I was first learning them, I really struggled a little bit to get that loop through cleanly. You just kind of have to take your time and don't be afraid to give it a little wiggle there. Then, of course, to finish off a single crochet, we just yarn over and pull through both of those loops. So I like doing it, like I say, without the slip knot. I like to just do that little fold or twist. It really seems to help hold down for the single crochet a little bit better. And of course, you could start your other ones off that way as well if you prefer. But for the single crochet in particular, I find it to be really helpful. So that was the double crochet, the half double crochet, and the single crochet. But of course, as I say, you can keep taking this taller and taller and taller stitches, really any stitch, fancy stitches, you know, alt double crochet, extended double crochet, any of those stitches is just a matter of getting those yarn overs on your hook. So let's say I'm going to do a treble. probably the next step up and probably the most common one after those three. I'm going to hold on to that tail again. And this time, for a double, I yarn over twice. For a treble, I just yarn over one more time. For a quadruple, one more, and then keep going on up from there. But let's go ahead and just do 3 yarn overs for a treble. We'll find this stitch. Let's say we're doing a front post. So we come in on one side and out on the other. If I were left-handed, I'd be coming in on this side and out on this side. Yarn over, pull up my loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and just take your time with it. This can get a little loose. You can tighten that up if you need to. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 here, going again behind that tail. And now you've got a standing front post treble crochet. So again, the standing stitch technique can be combined with post stitches for standing post stitches. It could of course be worked into the top of the stitch. It could be worked as a camel stitch. You could do the half double crochet in the 3rd loop when you do that stitching into the 3rd loop behind the top of your half double crochet. I don't think I have any half double crochets right here, but you could really put that standing stitch in any part of the stitch. Any place you stick your hook in there to put in a stitch is a great place to go ahead and put in a standing stitch as well. So unfortunately, I didn't get my YouTube comments up for this one. I'm going to try and see if I can pull them up pretty quickly here on my phone, just to see if you guys had any questions going on right now. But we all know the joy of technology, and I want to make sure, though, that I can answer your questions here. Let's see if I can get over. Oh, and also, while I have you, I want to say thank you all so much. We hit 200,000 plus subscribers on Moogly, so thank you all so much for subscribing. That is much appreciated. But there we go. Let's see if we can get to where my account is and see my actual videos rather than just the background information. So let's see, we are live. And for whatever reason, I apologize. It's not coming up on my phone, so I'm not able to see your comments today, but do leave them in the comments if you have any questions, and I will try and do my best to get back to answer those. So I guess we can go ahead and come back to the other camera. And I hope that that video helped you guys out. This particular tutorial today was a reader request, so if you've got more stitch combinations or stitch patterns or stitch questions that you'd like me to answer on a live, please do let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do to get those answered for you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Keep on stitching, everybody.